This particular program is actually meant to provide mass education opportunity for us. So the first thing you need to consider under pre-resumption phase preparation by schools is that, number one, there must be thorough cleaning of the environment. This is very, very important. It will be easy for the government agency to properly do what we call the contact tracing. It's preparation by the pupils and students themselves, because all of us need to prepare and we need to be on the same page to make sure that we are ready to go back to school. Good day. You are welcome to CAC Television on Edugist 360. I am Dr. J.B. Minari from University of Lagos. I welcome you to the maiden edition of this program. This particular program is actually meant to provide mass education opportunity for us. It's also meant to stimulate our learning and creative abilities. It's also meant to update us on activities that goes around our schools and campuses. It's meant to provide information that is relevant for us in the 21st century. And it's also meant to bring us to up-to-date on information of what is happening around us for parents, for guardians, for students, for pupils, and for schools as well. This program promises to be exciting, promises to be informative and educative as well. As this program will run, I will implore you to always tune up to this station to listen to this program. Today we are looking at preparation of our schools for resumption after COVID-19 break. As we continue in this program, I hope you stay tuned. We'll go on a short break now. This particular program is actually meant to provide mass education opportunity for us. So the first thing you need to consider under pre-resumption phase preparation by schools is that, number one, there must be thorough cleaning of the environment. This is very, very important. It will be easy for the government agency to properly do what we call the contact tracing. It's preparation by the pupils and students themselves, because all of us need to prepare and we need to be on the same page to make sure that we are ready to go back to school. Okay, welcome back. Education, they say, is the act or process of impacting or acquiring knowledge, developing the power of reasoning and judgment, preparing someone for challenges ahead. And so for someone to go ahead, there are a lot of challenges that one needs to face in life, and you need education to actually change it. Nelson Mandela once said that education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. And that is why we need education. So this platform, as I said earlier, provides the opportunity for us to get information on education so that we can actually change our world, as it has been rightly alluded by Nelson Mandela. And before we go to our topic today, and we discuss a lot of things on how we can get ourselves prepared, let me just give you some gist of what's happening in educational space during the week. During the week, we heard that the Academic Staff Union of Universities actually presented their University Transparency and Accountability Solution, UTAS, as an alternative payment platform for the Integrated Personnel Payroll and the Information System, IPPIS, on Tuesday, 18th August 2020. You remember that there was a time that they were discussing with the federal government, and we hope that with this, very soon, the embark strike might probably come to an end. Also, I also want to give you a gist of what is happening in Oyo State. In Oyo State, in educational space, we heard that the government shifted the date for the common entrance examination into the School of Science from 19th August to 1st of August, while also the screening test for those in the terminal classes in both public and private school has also been shifted from 20th to 22nd, 2020 August. This as a result of clashes that they had with the West African Senior School Certificate examination that is ongoing. We wish the students best of luck. Another news we got also a gist from Kogi State says that the State House of Assembly has passed the bill to establish a university in Kogi State, and the name of that university shall be Confluence University. I have another gist for you all the way from Gombe State. We heard that the Commissioner for Education, Dr. Habi Dahiru, announced on Wednesday that 7 students of the government girls secondary school, Doma, tested positive to COVID-19. We wish them all the best as they take good care of the students. I also have another gist for you from the West African Examination Council, which said that the body has arrested some of his errant supervisors who revealed the questions to candidates even before commencement of the West African Senior School Examination Council. So those are some of the gists I'm having for you this week on Edugist 360. And thereafter, we are going to go into the main topic of the day on how we want to prepare ourselves for resumption after this COVID-19 break. You know, it has been a challenging time, and most of our schools has been under lock and key for close to 5 months now in this part of the world. And so we are getting a feeler that anytime from now, there might be a resumption of school. So we need to get ourselves prepared on how we can set ourselves to know what we need to do as we resume to school. And this resumption, we are going to discuss it under 3 broad categories. We are going to talk about preparation by schools. We're also going to talk about preparation by parents. We're going to talk about preparation by the pupils. So we need to put this preparation into place to make sure that we don't have a resurgence of the COVID-19, the pandemic that is ravaging the whole world, that almost grounded the whole world to a standstill. There are things we need to do. There are things we need to put in place, and that is what we are going to discuss in our maiden edition of Edugist 360 that we are having today. Let me start up to tell you that we have 3 phases in terms of preparation by schools. So I'm starting from preparation by schools. We have 3 phases of preparations that you must put in place to ensure that you are prepared for resumption of schools as students or pupils, as the case may be, resumes to their various schools and students to their various campuses. We have what we call the pre-resumption phase, we have the resumption phase, and then we have the post-resumption phase for under preparation of school. So we need to look at these various categories to make sure that we put some of these things in place properly to ensure that we are set to receive pupils or our students, as the case may be, as they resume in school. So let's take it one after the other as we discuss it, and I know this will be very beneficial for those of us that are heading our various schools, or your proprietors of schools, or your vice chancellor or provost or rectors of schools, as you prepare to get your students back to schools. So you must follow these major things, which is very, very important as your students come back to school. So we look at the pre-resumption phase. There are some activities that we need to engage ourselves in to ensure that we are ready to receive our students or our pupils back to school. We don't want to fold our hands and wait and experience what happened in some other places where they were not well prepared. And eventually when the student came, there was resurgence. So many of the students contracted the virus, and in some places they have to shut the school again to make sure that they take good care of that. So to be forewarned, they say, is to be forearmed. So it's better for us to get ourselves prepared with this information so that we know that we are very well prepared as the students resume. So that's what Edugist 360 wants to achieve today as we bring this to you. So as I said earlier, that we are looking at pre-resumption phase. Pre-resumption phase. So the first thing you need to consider under pre-resumption phase preparation by schools is that, number one, there must be thorough cleaning of the environment. This is very, very important, as various governments all over the world, including ours, has also laid down that there must be decontamination and disinfection of the environment is very, very important. This will help you. Peradventure, there is someone that came in contact with the virus that have already come around the environment. So this will help you take good care of that, and then also make sure that everywhere is kept clean. And not only that, also we must also know that the fact that we've left the school environment for quite some times, most times we discover that reptiles might take over some of the buildings, and so it's very, very important that we clean up the environment. So schools must ensure that they do this. Is very, very important, so that after resumption you won't be playing host not just to your students. You discover that reptiles also, which can actually hurt the students, might be around, or hurt the pupils, as the case may be, for those in the lower schools like the primary schools. So we need to make sure that we do plan for thorough cleaning of our environment, to make sure that as we are resuming, that we don't experience any hurt, even aside that of COVID-19. So it's a very important point that every school must take note of. Now, number 2 point that we need to also look at under the pre-resumption phase is that there must be staff meeting. It's very, very important that schools must organize staff meeting, and advisably, you must look at having it an online meeting with your staff. You must get them abreast of what is happening. You must get them abreast of your preparation. You must get them abreast of their expectation, and not just when they come that day, you now expect them to comply of what they don't know anything about, or you assume that they should know. But the right thing to do as a school is to organize staff meeting. Have your online staff meeting with your staff. Let them hook up and tell them what is expected of them. They can also have some other suggestions on how you can also prepare your school and make sure that you are ready to, you are good to go, and you are ready for resumption. So this is very, very important that schools must take note. If you have done that, good, you can do it one more time. And you have not done your meeting at all, it's very, very important that you engage yourself with your staff members. So make sure that they are up to date to what is happening around, and also get them intimated with the rules that the government has passed across for everybody to comply with. It will be wrong for you to assume that they know what to do. The best thing to do is to actually pass it across to them what is expected of them to carry on. So number 3 point is plan for hand washing. It's very, very good that you have a very good plan for hand washing, depending on what your capacity financially can carry. You make sure that in your school you make appropriate provision and position. So that actually should be done before resumption. I don't expect any school to be waiting till resumption, and then on that day you are now arguing, should we put it in front, should we put it at the back, should we put it behind, should we put it in front of the class, should we put it in front of the assembly. So those are the things that should be under your pre-resumption arrangement, and that is why earlier I told you that the meeting is very, very important. So you must survive on what to do. If you want to put it in at the gate of the school, so that as they are resuming, they wash their hands, or you want to have it in front of the assemblies, or you want to have it in front of the classrooms, or you are having for all those points. And for those that are residential, are you going to have it in front of their dormitories, in front of their hostels? So the hand washing plan must be thorough and must be properly outlined, so that when they come, you just give them specific instruction, and not on that day or on the day of resumption you are not arguing, or you are not debating, or whether or not you should have your hand washing plans in front of the classrooms, or at the front of the office, or at the front of the dormitory, or at the gate. So that also needs to be ironed out. Another point for presumption also is classroom physical distancing. That also supposed to have been done under pre-resumption. So you're supposed to have looked to the various classes and make sure that you've made proper arrangements to make sure that we have physical distancing arrangement already in place. Very, very important, so that you know if there is need for you to make other provisions. So by now you're supposed to count the number of students that can be in each class to ensure that the physical distancing as recommended by the agency already is fully complied with. Another thing you need to do also to work on is staff training. Staff training, which also can be handled online. The staff training will actually help you also to get the staff to know how to handle some of these things, those that will be at the gate, those that will be at the assembly, even how the staff should also comport themselves in the classroom, because we're in a peculiar situation now. So you need to tell them about the virus and how they need to do. So you need training. You can get specialists in various areas to actually educate them. How do we even handle in cases where you have an incident case, you're able to identify one? How do you do? What are the steps that you need to take? So these are part of the pre-resumption phase. Also, you also need procedure for managing identified cases. So how do you identify cases when you have resumed? You don't need to panic. So, but what you need to do is to have your plans laid down. If peradventure you are able to identify somebody, or somebody is just sick, it might necessarily not be COVID-19, and somebody is just sick, you must make appropriate plan to make sure that the person is properly taken care of and moved to the right place. Another point also that is very important under this pre-resumption plan is communication with parents. This is very, very important for schools to do that you have to communicate with parents about the expectation you expect from the students, you expect from the pupils as they get ready to resume to school. So it's very, very important that you take note of some of these things and make sure you act on some of these things to ensure that the parents also get themselves abreast with what is happening around. Not everybody is having access to the information that we have around. Some do, some have half information, while some don't have at all. So it's very, very important that schools ensure that not only communicating with the pupils or with the student, but as well we also communicate with the parents. I will go on a short break now, and when I'm back, I will continue with this. We are now going to look at what are we going to do during resumption. I'll be right back. This particular program is actually meant to provide mass education opportunity for us. So the first thing you need to consider under pre-resumption phase preparation by schools is that, number one, there must be thorough cleaning of the environment. This is very, very important. It will be easy for the government agency to properly do what we call the contact tracing. It's preparation by the pupils and students themselves, because all of us need to prepare. We need to be on the same page and make sure that we are ready to go back to school. Don't change the tap. You are welcome back. This is Edugist on CAC Television. I'm being your host, Dr. JB Minari. We've been talking about preparation for resumption after the COVID-19 break. And I told you that we're looking at this under three broad categories: preparation by school, preparation by parents through guidance, preparation by pupils or students, as the case may be. And under preparation of schools, we talked about pre-resumption, that we told that we have three phases: pre-resumption phase, resumption phase, and post-resumption phase. And under pre-resumption phase, I gave you some tips that should be considered by schools to make sure that they are very much ready for the resumption of their students. Now we are going to the resumption phase. what exactly are the things that is expected of you to do in school when the students or the pupils, they've resumed to your schools or various campuses. Number one that is expected of you is that you must do health stroke temperature check. It's very, very important. And all around now, we have the digital infrared thermometer all around that you can actually use to check the temperature as they come in. This will help a great deal to ensure that anybody that is symptomatic about the virus can actually be properly taken care of. So schools are expected to put that in place on resumption now. And also, the second point is record of attendance should be properly taken. It is very, very important that as they come in, a well decentralized, articulated record of attendance is very, very important. And the importance of this in this particular period is it helps. Peradventure, you have an identified case. It will be easy for the government agency to properly do what we call the contact tracing. They will be able to move around and be able to do contact tracing and make sure that this does not spread beyond a limit. They'll be able to contain it and make sure that those affected are properly tested to be sure that it doesn't spread. Another point that must also be taken care of during resumption is compliance to hand washing and also the use of hand sanitizers. Very, very important that there should be full compliance. So the first we talk about it under presumption is the plan. Now we are talking about the compliance. You want to see some students or even staff that want to say, no, I will not. We have different school of thoughts about this pandemic. Some people don't even believe that it exists. So it's now your duty as a school to make sure that there is compliance by the students and the pupils, as the case may be, or the teachers or the staff of the school, to make sure that they comply with the hand washing and also sanitizing the hands. Another thing is the use of the face mask. Is also very, very important that in our various schools you ensure that the face mask is being adhered to strictly. Also, physical and social distancing is very, very important for schools, secondary and primary schools that always have the assembly ground or assembly hall. If you are still going to have that, you will ensure that physical distancing is strictly adhered to. And for those that doesn't, might be in the classroom, you must ensure that there is enough distance as recommended by the guidelines, and these have been passed across to various schools on what to do on that. So you must ensure that your physical distancing is strictly adhered to. Also, what you do under resumption, you also look at training of students is very, very important, or informing them duly, letting them know what it is, because some of them might been exposed to a lot of information about this pandemic. So the responsibility is on the school to make sure that you train or you inform the student, let them have enough basic information about the pandemic so that they will be able to follow the protocols that have been outlined for them. Also, this one is also very important for the lower grade schools. Playground supervision is very key. For those that will still have the time for break, they might just decide to go around and be playing, and if care is not taken, the pandemic is contagious, and from there it can spread among the children. So you must ensure that you have strict supervision on them as they play around. In some other places, another point is you might need to stagger the start and close of school day if need be. In places, in schools where you think that your infrastructure, your classrooms might not be enough after observing the physical distancing, because definitely it's going to cause shortages of classrooms, you might need to stagger the period of opening and closing of schools at various categories. So at this peculiar time, I think it's very, very important that schools will go along with to make sure that they organize themselves in a way that you can stagger the coming, the closing, and the opening of the school. It is very, very important that the schools will look towards that direction. Also, for those that are residential, you must look at staggering meal times. When they go for their dining hall to take their food, you might need to stagger. This will just ensure that they are not crowded at the dining hall, they are not crowded where they need to take their meals. So it is very, very important that schools will factor it in, because there is it's of no need if you obey it in the classroom and it's not being obeyed at the dining hall. So schools must ensure that you also look at that. Now, another point is moving classes to temporary spaces or outdoor also might be considered by some schools. If you observe that your infrastructure is not enough and you can make provision for a temporary place for them to receive their classes, their teachings, their lectures, the schools can also plan for that. It is very, very important. Also, holding schools in shifts or to reduce class size. So if you have been having 50 pupils or students in a class before, in a very small classes, or in our higher institutions where we have thousands of them clustered in a room, you might need to look for a way to cut down the classes to make sure that same course or same subject can be split into various classes to cut down the sizes. So this might also be part of our plans as we prepare for resumption. Also, the school should support the mental health of students to combat any stigma against people who have been sick. It is possible that somebody will just sneeze or will fall sick, and people will think, oh, this person is having COVID. It necessarily don't have to be, and there might be stigma. And so the onus is on the school to ensure that the students are not stigmatized. So, and then what you do is that emotionally we have to help the pupils or the student to counsel them and tell them that, oh, this is what you have. And peradventure, the person actually came down with COVID-19. It's also meant to make sure that you counsel them because of stigmatization. So the school must also put that in place. School should also refer children who need referrals to specialized support. So it's very, very important that schools should make sure that they must have contacted support, maybe a nearby hospital, a nearby health system, or have the number of the government agency in charge, so that peradventure you have a case, you must make proper referrals to the appropriate place where the proper tests could be taken and they will be ascertained, and then they could be moved to the proper place where they will be taken care of. That is what we need to do under the resumption phase. And under the post-resumption phase, you must ensure that we have continuous cleaning plan. So it is not just good enough to just clean once and then that will be the end. No, there must be a room for continuous cleaning, maintaining hygienic environment, cleaning of surfaces of the school, as we know that the virus could be contagious. So it's very, very important that in our various schools we make sure that surfaces are properly cleaned. You have staircases that you need to go to classrooms or staff room. You ensure that you put a plan in place that there is a continuous. So that will continue, because after resumption now you must ensure that there's continuous cleaning of surfaces, of desks, of benches around, of our tables, of our chairs that we use in our various offices, because you can not really say who can be a carrier of it. Some people are asymptomatic and there is this possibility of them also spreading it, and so that's why you must ensure that you must tidy up the environment continuously and not just for the first time alone. Also, there must be need for continuous screening protocols. So the protocols for screening must be continuous. So you don't say because you have tested, you've checked the health yesterday, you've tested the temperature yesterday, and then you assume that throughout the week they are going to be okay. Because after closure, the staff, the students, they will all go to their various homes. Some will go to the marketplaces, some will go to different places, and they will come back tomorrow. So you don't know where they are coming from. So your plan of post-resumption must ensure that your protocol of screening must be continuous. So it must be continuous, and that's very, very important for us to sustain, to ensure that the school doesn't run to a problem of escalation of the transmission of the virus in the school. And also, isolation plan must be put in place. Isolation plan must be put in place. So you must contact the health professionals to help us work out that immediately you have a suspect case, you can have an isolation place until you are able to contact the government agency in charge of this, so that they can come around and then be able to pick up the identified case, and then they'll take good care of him. So those are the things that is expected for us to do under the pre-resumption phase, the resumption phase, and the post-resumption phase. Having said that, we now move to what are the preparations that is needed by parents, because parents and guardians also need to get ready for this resumption. And why we are doing this is because the WHO has said that until there is a vaccine, we just have to make sure that we are able to live with this virus, to make sure that we arrange ourselves properly, but as much as we can to ensure that we don't have escalation of the transmission around. And so we need to ensure that we put some of these guidelines in place and follow them strictly, so that we are able to live our normal lives. Imagine us not opening up the economy for 5, 6, 7, 8 months. That would have been very, very terrible, because the economy of the world might likely crumble. And that is why we have the gradual easing that is happening all around the world. And so it's very important that as schools are preparing, parents, guardians also must make sure that they prepare. So for preparation for parents, parents must firstly must educate their children on the various precautions on COVID-19. So parents also have some information already on precautions. So let's give to them. Let's also encourage them to be obedient on those precautions that will be given to them when they resume in schools. So don't let parents talk down on those precautions. So the parents, the responsibility is on us to ensure that we educate our children, we educate our world, to make them to listen to those precautions, and also to follow them strictly, to ensure that they comply with them. Another preparation is that parents should support children emotionally. They've been away for quite some times now. You need to wake up their brain before they resume. You need to wake up their brain before they resume. So the parents need to support children emotionally. So their emotions need to be stable. Their emotion needs to align with the resumption. You must try to tell them, to advise them when they are at home, to make sure that they try to realign with some of those things they already have at home that they've learned previously. This will help them to read up, to make sure that they do some revision of what they have learned previously, and to ensure that when they get back to school, they are not struggling. So parents have that responsibility, guidance, they have that responsibility, that you also plan along that line. So whatever means you can assist in waking up their brain. It might be through online, it might be through getting a private teacher to coach them up to date, but make sure that if you are bringing in somebody, the person also must observe all the protocols that have been set aside, but just to ensure that they wake up their emotions and they wake up their brain, so that when they get back to school, they don't have to struggle. It's very, very important that we know that. Another point that parents should take note is that parents should provide educational materials to aid their quick learning. The mere fact that there's been a break now, it might actually make them to get disconnected from those things they have learned before, and probably going back to school now, schools might want to rush. Some of them might just want to continue from when they stopped, so that they'll be able to finish up with their term, with their session, with their semesters, as the case may be. So the parents, we must make sure that we support our children, we support our world, to ensure that we get materials for them that can actually help them to link up back properly, so that they will not find themselves struggling. Because going back, some of them might find it difficult to link up to what they have been learning before. So by the time you provide some materials for them, buy them books, relevant books that they can use to revise. You might get them some online e-materials that could be relevant to them as well. This will go a long way to actually assist them to link back to those things that they have learned before. And that will, in no small measure, assist them to ensure that they are properly ready and emotionally ready for them to go back to school. Another point is, let the children, the parents also should let them know what is expected of them. If they also feel, or when getting to school, they check their temperature and they discover that it's higher than the normal body temperature that is expected. So also feed them with the right information to let them know that, oh, this is what is happening. Number one, that not until the molecular test has been carried out, you cannot be pronounced or certified that the person is COVID-19 positive. And if peradventure they actually know that they are positive, is actually not a death sentence, so you must also get them informed about that. And that in the also we go a long way to ensure that they also take special care also when they get to school. They will not also take it for granted, as well as you provide those information for them to make sure that they comply with the rules that we have said earlier, that probably you have also intimated them with before leaving home, and also with what the schools has also provided for them, telling them about the basic things of probably not shaking yet, not hugging yet, not doing high five yet. So those are the basic things. And also another point is the parents also needs to finalize logistics. So logistics needs to be finalized by parents, especially those in the lower school grades that needs to be taken to school. So logistics needs to be finalized by the parents to make sure that at this time, as you are resuming to school, they are not stranded and they are not unnecessarily stressed. As we know that we have a lot of rearrangement that's happening even in the transportation sector. So a very good arrangement must be made for them so that they won't face any difficulties and they'll be able to align back. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we come to the concluding part of this talk that I've been giving to you on preparation for resumption after the COVID-19 pandemic. I will be right back. This particular program is actually meant to provide mass education opportunity for us. So the first thing you need to consider under pre-resumption phase preparation by schools is that, number one, there must be thorough cleaning of the environment. This is very, very important. It will be easy for the government agency to properly do what we call the contact tracing. It's preparation by the pupils and students themselves, because all of us need to prepare. We need to be on the same page and make sure that we are ready to go back to school. You are welcome back to Edugist on CAC TV. We've been talking about preparation for resumption after the COVID-19 break, and I've taken you through various steps that we need to take. Preparation by schools, and under preparation by schools, I remember we talked about the pre-resumption phase. We talked about resumption phase and post-resumption phase, and from there we went to preparation by parents or guidance. So in the last phase, as we conclude this talk, is preparation by the pupils and students themselves, because all of us need to prepare. We need to be on the same page and make sure that we are ready to go back to school, and to make sure that not just going back to school, but to integrate properly and to ensure that at the end of the day, the students are able to come out well. The school will also be fulfilled that they've been able to impact knowledge. The students also will be able to say they've acquired knowledge, and the parents also will be happy to say that we've produced someone that have acquired knowledge with a very good sense of reasoning and judgment to face the challenges that the child or the children will face in their later life. Now we are going to preparation by students. So the students and the pupils also have their own role to play in this preparation for resumption after this COVID-19 break. We'll remember that it came all of a sudden and we didn't prepare for it. But unfortunately, we have to prepare for it going back, even though it came unprepared for, but we have to prepare resuming to school. The first thing that students or pupil must ensure that they do is that they should obey the protocol on staying safe. I'm very much aware that in various schools, they've been mandated to put signages, to put rules, to put expectations all around. The student must ensure that they also stay safe, follow the protocols to stay safe. So look at those protocols, look at those signages. Even moving from home to school, you must ensure that you stay safe. So I'm talking to the pupils now, I'm talking to the students now, because you also need to get yourself prepared. Number two things you also need to do is that get resources to help yourself revise your studies. Your previous studies is very, very important. I know some people, they've been playing all around, so have been watching different movies, which is very good, but you must make sure that you also go back to your books, make sure that you revise what you have been taught before, and the ones that you're having challenges with, then you look for help, you seek for help. But the first thing is that you as student must be interested that you want to go back to ensure that you revise some of those things that you have been taught before the sudden break of COVID-19. So you must get yourself prepared to make sure that you revise some of those things. Another thing is that you must pay attention to teachers' instruction. As students, when you get back to school, some of the teachers, they have been trained and they have been well informed on the information to pass across to you. So when you get back to school, ensure that the instruction given to you, you strictly adhere to them. Is very, very important. So when information comes, the ones you do understand, please, you can ask your teacher for clarification, but ensure that you follow instructions that have been given to you. So pay attention to those instructions as they are being passed across to you by your teachers. The next point is ask questions. One of the hallmark of a very good student is that good students will always ask questions. Ask questions about the instruction on keeping safe. Even when you get to class, ask questions. Asking questions doesn't mean that you are a dull student, and those keeping quiet, it doesn't mean that they are more brilliant than you. So you ask questions, whatever you don't understand. It might be something that you have learned before, but you could not remember. Ask questions in class. You are free to ask questions. So teachers always give room for questions. Don't be shy to ask questions. And if you are a shy person, develop the capacity to ask questions. It's part of your preparation to make sure that you are ready to come back to school, so that you don't discover that you are struggling, because some people now might find it very difficult to integrate back to school. The next point is you seek help if you are struggling to get back. So I am very sure that some students might find it very difficult to integrate. They've been moving on well, but because of the sudden break, they might find it very difficult to actually integrate themselves back. So if you find yourself in this category, feel free to inform your teacher, feel free to inform your parents, feel free to inform your guardian that you need help. I'm struggling in this aspect, I'm struggling in this subject, I'm struggling on this course. You might actually get help from your parents or from your teacher, making a special arrangement for you to ensure that you are able to come back fully and get yourself integrated back to the school system. And this will go a long way to help you. Now, those are some of the tips that I have for you to make sure that you are ready for a resumption. I hope that schools will make sure that they comply with the rules and regulation, get their teachers also ready to ensure that they also revise with the students, so that you don't just go ahead from where you stop. That will also help them. Parents, so that they also support their children as they go back to school, and students themselves also should make sure that they are ready to go back to school psychologically, emotionally. They are balanced, they are stable enough to say they are going back to school. And if there's anyone that is struggling, you should feel free to seek help. This is what we have from Edugist CAC TV. And as you join this program every week, you will have more information that can actually assist you and make sure that you are well integrated, well informed about your what is expected in this 21st century in education. I will get you updated on what is happening around our schools and campuses, and will also help to stimulate your appetite for creativity and learning. I am Joseph Bamidele Minari from University of Lagos. Thank you very much for joining us on this telecast.